chickens. Come on, many chickens. Don't disappoint us. Hi, everybody. This is Father Moki. I'm coming to you from Good Shepherd Episcopal Church here in Wailuku, Maui. Today is Thursday, September 16th, 2021, and this is Chicken Chat, where we have many chickens this morning. Want to see? Watch. Look at all these chickens. Many chickens. Come on, many chickens. Don't disappoint us. Okay. So, this is a very authentic chicken chat, everybody. We have real chickens. I want you to pay attention to this one in particular. Right here, this chicken. Anyway, I would like to remind everybody that in-person worship is canceled for the month of September. We will, however, continue to broadcast our virtual worship at 7 o'clock in the morning via Facebook Premiere, YouTube, and Zoom. I would like to say that I've been watching the numbers in the state and in Maui over the past few days, and they do seem to be going down, which means that whatever we're doing is working. So, and if the numbers continue on this trend, which I really hope they are, then I anticipate that we will be back in person here in the courtyard at 5 p.m. on Saturdays and 9 a.m. on Sundays. And if we are able to do that, then the first Sunday in October, I'm going to encourage everyone to bring their animals to church so that we can bless your animals for the feast of St. Francis. So let's pray that we're back in person. And thank you so much. And I'm just really pleased with how everything has worked, and what we seem to be doing is working, and I'm really proud that we've done our part to help the community bring those numbers down. So thank you very much. I've also learned that Holy Innocents in Lahaina has suspended in-person worship as well as Makawao Union. So churches getting together and doing this are having a positive effect, and I think that's really great. We do have 4 birthdays this week. Narciso Corpuz, Richard Manuel, Jason Cueja, that's the father of Aleva, and Eugenia Sitz, who, by the way, is in Porto, Portugal at the moment, and she's going on the Portuguese Camino to Santiago de Compostela, and I am so jealous. That's on my bucket list of things to do. Also, we have some anniversaries this week. Susana and Emiliano Villa, Juliet and Nestor Manuel, and Basilia and Alfredo Evangelista. So happy anniversary to all of you. We have 2 death anniversaries this week, Elizabeth Dixon and Rick Wirtz. So please remember them in your prayers. And at this time, I would like to ask us all to take a moment to say a prayer for those on our pastoral care prayer list. Let us pray.
Aline, Barbara, Bill, Blandina, C. Robert, Catalina, Charmaine, Charlesta, Chris, Clark, Cynthia, Cora S., David, Dixie L., Dolores, Donna, Elmer, Epi, Eric, Ernesto, Filomeno, Fred, Ilsun, Jacinta, Jay, Jim, Joseph, Juanita, Judy, Kaili, Kevin, Christy, Leilani, Lynn, Maggie, Marilyn, Melanie, Mindy, Nelson, Nick, Patricia, Paula, Paulino, Peter P., Phil, Pilar, Randall, Sana, Sonia, Shirley, Sparky, Tomo.
This is from Psalm 130, verses 1 through 5. Out of the depths have I called to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears consider well the voice of my supplication. If you, Lord, were to note what is done amiss, O Lord, who could stand? For there is forgiveness with you, therefore you shall be feared. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits for him. In his word is my hope. My soul waits for the Lord, more than watchmen for the morning, more than watchmen for the morning. Amen. Interesting, I picked up the prayer book to find a collect to, do our pastoral care prayer list to sum it up. And I opened the prayer book and came to that psalm and that verse, and it jumped out at me, and so I thought I'd better listen and use what I was given. Also, please remember that on your Christmas card for the month of September, there is a Bible memory verse from Hebrews 11:1. Faith shows the reality of what we hope for. It is the evidence of things we cannot see. I've got the last part memorized, but not the first part. So half congratulations to me, I guess. Also, you'll notice that in the virtual worship this past week, I ended the sermon with a quote from Callisto, where, in response to my saying, I don't have magic answers for things like September 11th. And then there was a meme there that spoke to that. I can't remember it offhand, but just so you know, Callisto Swear was an English bishop and theologian of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and he was a lecturer at the University of Oxford from 1966 to 2001. And he was one of the best-known contemporary Eastern Orthodox hierarchs and theologians. In 2017, he was awarded the Lambeth Cross for Ecumenism by the Archbishop of Canterbury for, quote, his outstanding contribution to Anglican Orthodox theological dialogue, end quote. So he was quite something, and so just a little bit of information for you on Callisto Swear. Please know that the week before last, of course, you all know I was in Oregon for the wedding of my brother. This past week, I had to go back to the Big Island to spend some time with my mother. It was the first time that I had been home to the Big Island in over a year, and the first time since moving to Maui that I had been back, which was really interesting because I used to go every month to see my grandmother, but she passed away right before I came to Maui. So anyway, it was good to be home, and I'm going to show you a photo of a lunch with my mother and me at the Noodle Club in Waimea. Waimea is also the name of the town of Kamuela. Kamuela is kind of like the post office name, and it means Samuel after Samuel Parker, but most local folk call Kamuela Waimea. So Waimea meaning red water, because when the waters in the river run, it churns up the mud, and therefore the waters are red. Anyway, all for your edification as I ramble along. Let's see. Oh, yes. The 4-day centering retreat, centering prayer retreat that was planned for St. Anthony's on Oahu, they canceled it because of the surge in the Delta variant cases. Also, please remember that this month is Rubber Slipper Month. The Good Shepherd Women in Ministry are doing their annual slipper drive for a cup of cold water. We continue to look for new homes for the organ and the pews. If nobody from the church takes them, then we're going to put them on Craigslist and hope somebody will come and use them. Someone told me that there's a restaurant, I think a Japanese restaurant on Vineyard, that has pews outside its restaurant for people to sit and wait. So maybe somebody like that will come and grab them up. Time will tell. The outside of the church is being painted. It's going to look very nice. And I thank you all for your contributions to the building fund. from June through August, we've collected $4,726. So thank you very much. And also in the building fund, we have $12,980 in addition to the $4,726. Those of you who are good at math, get your abacus out and do the adding quick. The $12,980 is from the Church Insurance Corporation. To replace the parking lot light that was damaged when we did the paving earlier. A truck accidentally backed into it and knocked it over. A cup of cold water remains suspended due to the COVID situation, but please keep the donations coming in, especially the rubber slippers, and please keep them in your prayers because there are a lot of needy folk out there who aren't getting the benefit of the ministry right now, and let's hope that this ends soon so that a cup of cold water can start doing their runs again. And let's see, what else? Oh, the past week, Ka'ohana Kitchen was done by the Rotary Club of Maui, and I walked in and there was Heather Mueller, Mother Heather, taking charge as Heather is wont to do. And we had a good visit and a good chat, and this coming week the Ka'ohana o Kamai will be here to do the Ka'ohana Kitchen. And let's see, just a reminder, centering prayer, 4 o'clock on Tuesdays via Zoom. Men's Bible study will begin this Wednesday via Zoom. Or it began this Wednesday. I mean, you guys know I'm not taping this on Thursday, right? So anyway, it began yesterday and will continue at 7 a.m. in the morning. So know that you are loved by me for me to get up at 7 a.m. and do a Bible study, and I'm going to have lots of this to get me through. And if I'm not cognizant, that'll be a good excuse. Anglican Rosaries, Wednesday at 12 noon on Facebook Live. And the Women's Bible Study is on Thursdays at 12 noon via Zoom. This week, we are praying for the Anglican Church of Uganda, which is in Africa, of course, and has 37 dioceses. And in 2014, they took a census, and 32% of people in Uganda consider themselves affiliated with the Anglican Church, and that's down from 36.7% at the 2002 census. So they are very, very strong. In case you want to know what 32% of the population of Uganda is, it's 11,100,000 people. Oh, they've had an active role in promoting AIDS awareness and prevention, and as a result of these efforts, Uganda has begun reversing the effects of AIDS in its society. I see that Manong Ferdinand has just walked by the filming in Chicken Chat, and I want you all to know that Binyat Hani has put out a plea for video submissions for their talent song contest, and Ferdinand and I are going to submit 2 songs to that, are duets from the Aglipai services over the past 2 years. So go on Facebook and like it, because part of the way they determine who wins is by the number of Facebook likes, and whoever wins gets $300. And of course, if Ferdinand and I get $300, we're going to donate them to the church. So anyway, that's just an aside. I saw Manong Ferdinand walking by. So then, Church of Uganda we're praying for. Also the retired clergy, we're going to continue to pray for that list. Oh, and there's a chicken over there on the chair doing its thing, flapping around. And then we have the following people in Lesser Feast and Fast, Great Cloud of Witnesses, and Holy Men, Holy Women, for whom we're praying this week. The first being Theodore of Tarsus. You know the name Tarsus because that's Paul's hometown. And this guy, Theodore of Tarsus, was Archbishop of Canterbury way early on, in the 600s. And he was a learned monk from the East living in Rome, and he was 65 years old, and the Pope appointed him as a monk to be the bishop, the Archbishop of Canterbury. And Bede said that Theodore of Tarsus was the first archbishop whom all the English obeyed. Probably the last too. Let's see. Oh, his big thing was he had some kind of like working together between the Celtic Christians and the Roman Christians. And so I think based on what I read, he was able to unite the two groups, and that is what he is well known for. Then we have John Coleridge Patterson, the Bishop of Melanesia. You know, Melanesia being like New Guinea, Fiji, that area. He answered a call for volunteers from New Zealand to go and preach the gospel in the South Pacific. And he went to the South Pacific in Melanesia, and he founded a school for the education of Christian workers, and he was consecrated Bishop of Melanesia in 1861. And then slavery was technically illegal during that time, but the laws were very lax. And so he really was active in an effort to stamp it out. And there's an island in Melanesia called Nakapu, and slave traders had gone in there. And then afterwards, Patterson and his companions went into the area, and because they were Haole, the people there didn't make a distinction between them and the slave traders, and they took a hatchet and pounded it into his chest 5 times, one for each illegal slave that was captured. And he died, of course, and his death caused this uproar in England, and it made the government take really firm measures against slavery in the South Pacific. So the laws that were at that time lax were greatly enforced. So that's John Coleridge Patterson. That's amazing, you know, to die by mistake like that. Anyway, then we have Matthew, the apostle and evangelist, who was a tax collector. You know, and he was the one, he was collecting taxes, and people hated the tax collectors in Jesus's time, and Jesus told them, "Follow me," and he got up and followed him. So, Jesus calls the unlikely, and so I think we're called to reach out to the unlikely. Now, I love the name of this person, the Bishop of Ohio and of Illinois. His name is Philander Chase. He must have gotten teased a lot in elementary school, poor Philander Chase, but he graduated from Dartmouth and then entered the ministry of the Episcopal Church in the 1800s. And then he felt called to move westward. So he moved westward all the way to Ohio. And he founded Kenyon College by raising funds in England. And after that, the newly formed Diocese of Illinois wanted him to be its bishop, so he served there, and was also presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church from 1843. So to, I assume, 1852 when he died. So there's Philander Chase. There's also a write-up here that Vanna wants me to read. He spent his life hacking through the frontier wilderness, missionizing and educating, the frontier wilderness being Ohio, and as well as traveling through the country and to England twice to raise money to support his endeavors. He faced the death of his wife, he faced the death of 3 of his children, and he endured constant attacks of his enemies. and endured a life of dire financial straits for both him and his institutions. In spite of that, he was able to overcome the hardships and achieve his goals and bring religion and education to the West, all the way west to Ohio, and establish himself as a seminal figure in the history of religion, education, and the American frontier. Philander Chase. I feel so sorry for him for that name. Then we have Tekla of Iconium. She died in 70. So if she died in 70, she was definitely an early martyr. She followed Paul around quite a bit and was very faithful to him, and they were burning her at the stake, and she survived because a thunderstorm came along and quenched out the fire. And after that, she developed a real following and was probably the greatest figure of female empowerment at that time. Then we have Anna Ellison Butler Alexander, a deaconess and teacher, and she was the first African American to be ordained a deaconess in the Episcopal Church, and during her lifetime, she was the only African American deaconess. She served the Episcopal Diocese of Georgia, and she and her sister Mary founded a school affiliated with Cyprian's Episcopal Church, and all of her sisters taught there. And later on, she returned to Pennock, Georgia, and revitalized a mission church there, and the church there got the name Good Shepherd. Right on. And let's see, and then she started a school, and she was a tent maker. You know, she supported all these mission endeavors by sewing, yeah, she just worked really hard as a deaconess. And so anyway, kind of a cool lady. Then we have Sergius. He was around in the 1300s, and he's considered to the people of Russia to be a national hero and an example of Russian spiritual life at its best. When he was 20, he and his brother went to the forests of Moscow, and they lived as hermits, and developed the Monastery of the Holy Trinity, which became the Church of Renewal, center of church renewal for Russian Christianity. He rallied the people behind Prince Dmitry Donskoy, who defeated the Tartars in 1380 and established an independent Russia. So that is Sergius. That's all our saints for this week. And oh, I'm sorry, I neglected to mention that we're also praying this week for Good Shepherd's Filipino dance troupe, of which I was briefly a part for the Lahota, and they are headed by Bessie and Alfredo Evangelista, so please keep them in your prayers. The chicken of the week this week. Remember I pointed to this chicken over here? Well, before I pointed to this chicken over here, and there were a lot of baby chicks all around. Well, it turns out that that particular rooster must be the father to all these little chicks, and he and his two hens have been very busy. There were two hens because there were two sets of families. And then, right before we taped, he got on top of one of the hens, flapped his wings very, very rapidly, went pa-pack! And we know that there are going to be a third set of chicks running around Good Shepherd pretty soon. So for his prolific proliferation of the chicks that contribute to being chickens of the week this week, we name the chicken of the week Randy. So thank you, Randy, for your hard work in proliferation. And congratulations to you, Randy, for being the chicken of the week. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.